All right, let's just jump right in. We hear these gigantic numbers thrown around all the time, right? But some of them are so big, they're almost meaningless. Today, we're going to chart the story behind one of those numbers, the wild, unpredictable, and frankly, stratospheric climb to a $200 billion fortune. But before we even start that climb, let's just ask the question straight up. What is a number with 11 zeros after the 2? What does that even mean? It's a scale that just completely shatters our everyday idea of what money is. And there it is, $200 billion. Just take a second and look at all those zeros. This number, this is the summit of our story today. But it's not just some figure on a screen. It's the peak of a journey that took decades, with some unbelievable highs and one truly staggering low. So, let's start at the beginning. Our story kicks off at what you could call base camp, the late 1990s, right in the thick of the dot-com boom. You gotta remember, this was like the Wild West of the internet. And Amazon? It was just this small online bookseller with a really, really big idea. And the climb up was shockingly fast. I mean, in 1998, Jeff Bezos hits the billion-dollar mark for the very first time. But just 1 year later, thanks to all that dot-com craziness, his net worth just explodes to over $10 billion, an absolutely dizzying, incredible ascent. But as we all know, anything that goes up that fast can come down even faster. Yeah, see, every super fast climb has the risk of a super fast fall. And when the millennium turned, the whole tech world got a massive reality check. The dot-com bubble popped, and the fall it was brutal. Just think about that for a second. His wealth was pretty much all tied up in Amazon stock. So this wasn't just a little dip. It was like 80% of his fortune just evaporated. Poof, gone. For almost anyone else, a hit like that would have been the end of the story, period. This chart here really shows you how insane that collapse was, from a peak of over $10 billion all the way down to just $2 billion. This wasn't just a setback, it was a financial earthquake that put the very existence of Amazon on the line. And the climb back up, it was anything but quick. It was a slow, painful, multi-year grind. In fact, by 2002, his net worth had actually dropped even more. This wasn't a time for exciting growth. It was about pure survival and just quietly, methodically building the real foundations of the business. And it was that quiet work that was about to change absolutely everything. And that change is what leads us to the most jaw-dropping part of this whole story. This wasn't just a recovery anymore. This was like launching into a completely different financial orbit. The wealth didn't just grow, it literally hit escape velocity. So, what was the rocket fuel here? You'd probably guess it was the online store, right? Selling more books, more stuff, more everything. And yeah, that business was growing for sure. But that is not what caused the vertical launch you're about to see. It was the cloud, specifically Amazon Web Services, AWS. See, Amazon had built this unbelievably massive, powerful computer system for its own store. And then they had this genius idea. Hey, what if we just rent out our extra space to other companies? And that side business became an absolute profit machine that completely transformed Amazon's entire financial picture. I mean, just look at this. In 2014, his net worth was already a huge $30 billion. But then, as AWS just took over, only 4 years later, that number had almost quadrupled to over $112 billion. That was the stratospheric leap. And in 2018, that leap crossed a line that was, at the time, just unbelievable. $100 billion. For the very first time, a single person's fortune hit a level that no one had ever really seen before. So now we've made it. We're at the summit. But to really get a sense of the view from up here, we need some context. What does this kind of money actually look like compared to things in the real world? Okay, so the absolute highest point so far was back in 2021 at an estimated $177 billion. To even start to wrap our brains around a number that massive, we need to compare it to things we can actually recognize. So check this out. At its peak, that one fortune was worth about the same as the entire company of Nike. Yeah, that Nike. It was bigger than the entire annual economic output, the GDP, of a country like Hungary. And it was enough to pay for the whole $150 billion International Space Station and still have billions left over. And if you want to understand the pure momentum of this wealth, get this. In 2019, Bezos had the biggest divorce settlement in history, transferring tens of billions of dollars. On any normal scale, that would be a huge financial event. But the fortune was growing so incredibly fast that if you look at the chart, it's barely even a dip before it just keeps climbing.
And that brings us right up to the present day. As of 2024, the number is sitting at an estimated $194 billion, basically knocking on the door of that $200 billion peak all over again.
So, we're left with this final thought. We've tracked the climb, we've seen the crash, and we've witnessed the launch into the stratosphere. We've seen a personal fortune swell to the size of a national economy. The question this whole story really forces us to ask is, what does it actually mean for the rest of us and for the future when wealth gets concentrated on this kind of epic scale?